Dear students, so last class we were discussing about atomic and covalent radius. Today we start metallic radius. So as we studied, except noble gases, remaining atoms are unstable. So the atoms will be present in the form of a covalent molecule, or atoms will be in the form of an ionic compound, or an element will be in the form of a metal. For noble gases, you can calculate the atomic radius. For unstable atoms, you can find covalent radius with the help of internuclear distance. If the unstable atom is present in the form of a metal, we find metallic radius. We consider the metallic atoms like copper, silver, gold, iron, platinum. So these unstable atoms are present in the form of a metal. So when we consider the metal, atoms are closely packed. We can say metallic crystal lattice. Lattice is nothing but a place where atoms or elements present. So in metals, the atoms will be arranged in 3 dimensions in a particular place. It is called a lattice. So when you check the metallic lattice, atoms are closely packed. So here also we apply the same concept of internuclear distance. In metallic atoms, we find the internuclear distance, divide the internuclear distance by 2, you will get metallic radius. When you consider copper, the copper metal is analyzed, the internuclear distance is found as 2.56 angstrom. 2 copper atoms will be closely bonded by a metallic bond. So internuclear distance is divided by 2. We get metallic radius of copper. So bonding is different. In a covalent molecule, covalent bond is present. In ionic compound, ionic bond is present. In metals, atoms are joined together by a metallic bond. So we find internuclear distance divided by 2. We get metallic radius. So atomic radius for the noble gases, covalent radius for the unstable atoms which form the covalent molecule, then metallic radius. All the 3 we have completed. Next, variation of atomic radius in modern periodic table. So first periodic property is atomic radius. We studied different radius: atomic radius, covalent radius, and the metallic radius. And tomorrow we will discuss about ionic radius, how to find ionic radius. That will be somewhat difficult one. Finding the ionic radius is a difficult one. So we completed atomic, covalent, and the metallic radius. Then what about the variation of this periodic property in modern periodic table? How this is changing in a period as well as in a group. We consider first periods. We have totally 7 periods in modern periodic table. What is the variation of atomic radius in period? You take the second period. The members are, the elements present in the second period is lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, neon. What about the variation of atomic radius? Atomic radius decreases in periods. When we move from left to right in a period, atomic radius decreases. What is the reason for that? When we move from left to right, atomic number is increased by 1. What is the atomic number of lithium? 3. Then for beryllium, 4. Boron, 5. Carbon, 6. Nitrogen, 7. Oxygen, 8. Fluorine, 9. Neon, 10. So when we move from left to right in the period, gradually atomic number is increased by the value 1. It says what? When we move from left to right, one proton and one electron is increased. Lithium has 3 protons and 3 electrons. Beryllium has 4 protons and 4 electrons. So number of protons and number of electrons increased by 1 when we move from left to right. Now what about the accommodation of electron in the atoms when we move from left to right? That is the question. When you consider lithium, 3 protons present inside the nucleus, 3 electrons present outside the nucleus, isn't it? Lithium has 3 electrons, 2 electrons present in the first cell, third electron is present in the second cell. Electronic configuration 1s2, 2s1. This is the atomic radius of lithium. This distance is what? Atomic radius. Distance between the center of the nucleus and the outermost cell of an electron in an atom. This distance is called atomic radius. Then what about beryllium? Beryllium has 4 protons in the nucleus, 4 electrons outside the nucleus. The extra electron is added in the same cell. So what is the outermost cell for elements in the second period? Second cell or L cell. Then when we move to boron, 5 protons present inside the nucleus, 5 electrons present outside the nucleus. The one more electron is added in the same valence cell, second cell. So what happens when we move from left to right in a period? The extra electrons are added in the same cell. Okay. Lithium will have 1 electron in the second cell, beryllium has 2 electrons in the second cell, boron has 3 electrons in the second cell. Like that it increases. Carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, neon. This is completely filled arrangement. When an atom has 8 electrons present in the outermost cell, it has stable arrangement. We say this is following octet rule. Oct means 8. So octet rule says an atom with 8 electrons in the outermost cell will be stable. So if an atom is obeying the octet rule, it will be stable. So when we think about lithium to neon in the second period, the extra electrons are added in the same cell. When electron is added in the same cell, definitely attraction between the proton and electron will be increased. We have oppositively charged particles. Inside the nucleus, we have a positively charged proton. Outside the nucleus, we have negatively charged electrons. Opposite charges will always attract. So when extra electrons are added in the same cell, attraction between the proton or attraction between the nucleus and the outermost electron will be predominant. So in left to right, electrons added in same cell. At the same time, nuclear charge increases. What is nuclear charge? It's nothing but number of protons. Nucleus has 2 types of particles. One is proton, another one is neutron. Proton is a positively charged particle. Neutron is a chargeless one. So overall, nucleus charge is positive. Nucleus is positive because of positively charged protons. Left to right, nuclear charge increases, means number of proton increases. So lithium has 3 protons, beryllium has 4 protons, boron has 5 protons. So number of proton increases, that means nuclear charge increases. And electrons added in the same cell, so definitely attraction between the nucleus and the electrons will be more. We can say attraction between the nucleus and the valence electron will be increasing from left to right. So this attraction is making the size shorter, right? So when we move from left to right, atomic size gradually decreases because of more attraction between the nucleus and the valence electron. What is the variation of atomic radius in periods? Gradually atomic radius decreases due to the increase of nuclear charge, addition of electron in the same valence shell, increase of attraction between the nucleus and the valence electron. All these are making the size as a reduced one. Left to right, atomic size decreases or reduces. Instead of nuclear charge, we will use one more word. It is called effective nuclear charge. That will be discussed later. Okay. Nuclear charge means you remind number of protons. Then what about the variation of atomic radius in groups? In groups, atomic radius gradually increases. Consider first group. The elements are hydrogen, lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium, francium, like we married. Gradually atomic size or atomic radius increases. What is the reason? Electrons added in the next cell. That is the reason. You take hydrogen with atomic number 1. Only one electron is present in the valence shell. First cell is a valence shell. You consider lithium. Lithium has totally 2 cells. Atomic number 3. 2 electrons present in the first cell. 1 electron is present in the second cell. So for hydrogen, what is a valence shell? Valence shell means last cell, first cell. For lithium, valence shell is second cell. And what about sodium? 2 electrons present in the first cell. Eight electrons present in the second cell, and 1 electron is in the third cell. Atomic number 11. Sodium has 11 electrons, 2 electrons present in first cell, 8 electrons present in second cell, and 1 electron is in the third cell. So valence shell is 3. So when you consider the elements in a group, top to bottom atomic size increases. This is because of addition of valence electron in the next cells. The valence electron will be in the first cell for hydrogen. The valence electron will be in the next cell, second cell. For sodium, valence electron will be in the third cell. So number of cells are increases. Electrons are added in the next cell. So because of this, radius increases. Comparing hydrogen, lithium has more atomic radius. Comparing lithium, sodium has more atomic radius. So top to bottom, size increases due to the addition of electrons in the next cell. Distance between the nucleus and the valence electron is increased. Comparing hydrogen, the distance between the nucleus and the valence electron is more. Comparing lithium, sodium has more atomic radius or distance between the nucleus and the valence electron. So distance increases, definitely attraction will be reduced. Comparing this, atomic radius is more for lithium, so that attraction between the proton or attraction between the nucleus and the valence electron will be less. Here also distance is increased, so nucleus will not effectively attract the valence electron. Top to bottom, atomic radius increases, electrons added in the next cell, then distance increases, so definitely attractive force will be decreased. This is the variation of atomic radius in periods and groups. Next, we have to know what is effective nuclear charge. Nuclear charge means charge of a nucleus. As I told, charge of a nucleus is mainly due to protons. Nuclear charge means charge of a nucleus. It is due to number of protons. Number of proton is nothing but what? Atomic number. The symbol for atomic number is Z. So nuclear charge can be represented as what? Atomic number or number of protons. Now what is effective nuclear charge? You consider lithium. Lithium has 3 electrons. 2 electrons present in the first cell and 1 electron is in the second cell. So second cell is a valence cell and this is valence electron. Last electron is called a valence electron. This will involve in chemical bonding formation and chemical reactions. So 2 type of forces will be acting in lithium. What are the 2 forces? One is attractive force. Nucleus has a positively charged protons. Outside we have 3 negatively charged electrons. So there will be an attractive force between the proton and the electron. Positively charged particles will have an attraction. Between the proton and the electron, attractive force is present, or simply we can say attractive force is operating between nucleus and the electrons. Then one more type of force is repulsive force. We know that opposite charges will attract, same charges will repel each other. So when you consider the electrons, all the electrons are having a same negative charge, definitely there will be a repulsion. In nucleus also, proton-proton repulsion will be there, but it will be overcome by neutrons. So neutrons will overcome the proton-proton repulsion in the nucleus. We mainly consider electron-electron repulsion. Okay. So all the 3 electrons having the same negative charges, definitely repulsion is present between the electrons. Between valence electron and inner electron. This is the last electron called the valence electron. And the 2 electrons in the first cell, we can say this is inner shell and the electron is called inner electrons. These 2 are inner electrons, this is valence electron. Definitely electron-electron repulsion is possible. Valence electron and inner electron repulsion is possible. So 2 forces will act in an atom. Attractive force between the nucleus and the electrons. Repulsive force between the electrons. So between valence electron and the inner electrons. Then as I told, nuclear charge means what is the charge of a nucleus? It is mainly due to number of protons, can be represented as atomic number. Atomic number is nothing but number of protons or number of electrons in a neutral atom. Number of protons can be represented as atomic number. When you consider nuclear charge, lithium has three protons, isn't it? Inside the nucleus of lithium, 3 protons present. So we can say nuclear charge is a 3. For lithium, 3 protons present inside the nucleus. So nuclear charge is nothing but 3. Atomic number 3, number of protons also 3. But consider electron-electron repulsion. Even though we have protons, which is offering a positive charge, electron-electron repulsion is there. So definitely the proton will not make effective nuclear charge on the valence electrons, right? So nuclear charge is 3. The proton is having an attraction with all the 3 electrons. Protons in the nucleus will attract electrons in the first cell as well as electron in the second cell. We consider only the attraction between the nucleus and the valence electron, and this attraction is disturbed by inner electrons, isn't it? 3 protons will have an attraction with the valence electron. We consider this attraction only. The attraction between the nucleus and the valence electron is disturbed by the inner electrons. Because of what? these two inner electrons will repel the valence electron. Repulsive force is operating. So this is disturbing the attraction between the nucleus and the last electron. We can say it is shielding or screening. Shielding or screening. So inner electrons will shield or will screen the attractive force between the nucleus and the valence electron. This is called shielding effect or screening effect. So we expect nuclear charge 3 for lithium, but definitely this electron will not experience the nuclear charge 3. When we consider valence electron, it has to experience the nuclear charge 3 protons present, but the valence electron will not exactly experience nuclear charge 3 because there is a shielding effect. Inner electrons repel the valence electron. Shielding effect or screening effect is present. So from the nuclear charge, we have to omit the shielding effect. For lithium, nuclear charge is 3. We expect the third electron and the last electron in the lithium will experience nuclear charge 3, but there is a shielding effect by the inner electrons. So we have to omit the shielding effect. From the nuclear charge, we remove the shielding effect. Shielding effect is represented as a constant value. It is called a screening constant or shielding constant. The symbol is capital S. Okay. So capital S represents screening constant or shielding constant. From the nuclear charge, when we remove the shielding part, we get effective nuclear charge. Effective nuclear charge is defined as the net nuclear charge experienced by the valence electron. Actual nuclear charge experienced by the valence electron is called effective nuclear charge. Okay. So what is the formula? From the nuclear charge, we subtract screening constant. That means we omit shielding effect from the nuclear charge. So we will get effective nuclear charge. The formula, effective nuclear charge is equal to nuclear charge, that means atomic number minus screening constant. When you take lithium, expected nuclear charge 3, but there is a shielding effect. We have to remove it as a screening constant. Okay. How can we calculate this screening constant? For that we have Slater's rule. It's the name of a scientist, Slater. We have Slater's rule to find screening constant for one particular electron. So now you know what is nuclear charge. It's nothing but number of protons or atomic number. Effective nuclear charge means we omit this shielding effect from the atomic number. We get actual nuclear charge experienced by the valence electron. It is called effective nuclear charge. So shielding effect is removed as a screening constant. The value can be calculated using Slater's rule. So according to Slater's rule, the first step is to write the electronic configuration of an element. We have to write the electronic configuration of the element, then we have to make it as a group. So we should make it as a group as s and p orbital together, d orbital separately and f orbital separately. In this manner we have to group it. First cell has only s orbital, second cell has s and p orbital, it is made as a group. Third cell has s, p, d orbitals. Always we have to group s and p orbitals. D orbital should be placed as a separate group. Fourth cell has s, p, d, f orbitals. 4s 4p separate group, 4d separate group, 4f separate group. First step in finding the screening constant is we write the electronic configuration of the element, then we group the orbitals in this manner. S and p orbital should be placed together in the group. D orbital and f orbital should be placed separately in a group. Then second step, identify the electron for which we are going to find the screening constant. So we write the electronic configuration, we made it as a groups, orbitals will be made it as a groups. Then we have to identify the electron for which screening constant is going to be calculated. And after identifying the electron, beyond that orbital, the contribution is 0. So you are selecting one particular electron. So in second step, you are selecting an electron. The electron present in that cell is considered as nth cell. Okay. You are finding one particular electron in the electronic configuration. The shell of that particular electron is called is denoted as nth cell. Beyond that nth cell, contribution of the electron in shielding will be 0. Okay, I write sodium. Consider sodium. With the help of an example, you can understand easily. Electronic configuration 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s1. This is the electronic configuration of sodium. So in Slater's rule, what is the first step? After writing electronic arrangement, we made orbitals as groups. 1s orbital, 2s 2p orbital will be made as a group and 3s separate group. Second step, we have to fix an electron. For that, we are going to find the screening constant. So if I select 2p electron, p orbital can have 6 electrons. If I select one particular electron in the p orbital, the electron in the 3s orbital will not involve in shielding, isn't it? So I have sodium, 2 electrons present in the first cell, eight electrons present in the second cell, 1 electron is present in the third cell. So I am selecting this electron. So when I select this electron for finding the screening constant, the remaining 7 electrons, totally 8 electrons present in the second cell, I select this one. So remaining 7 electrons in the second cell, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 will involve in shielding, isn't it? Definitely these 7 electrons will disturb the attraction between the nucleus and this electron. This attraction will be disturbed or screened or shielded by the 7 electrons in the same cell, as well as these 2 electrons will also involve in shielding. These 2 inner electrons will shield the attraction between the proton and this electron. But what about this? The electron in the 3s orbital will not involve in shielding. Okay. So in Slater's rule, first we write the electronic configuration. We made the orbitals as groups. Then next step, we identify the electron for which we have to calculate a screening constant. If I find this electron for a screening constant calculation, this electron will not involve in shielding. So this will not contribute any value towards a screening constant. So when you select an electron, that shell is denoted as nth cell. For sodium, I am selecting an electron in a 2p orbital. That means the electron is in the second cell. Okay, I am selecting this electron, it is in the second cell. So n value is 2 for sodium. I can select this electron also. This electron can also be selected. So third cell will be the nth cell. Okay. So we have to identify the electron for which screening constant will be calculated. When you select this electron, after this electron, many cells may be present, many electrons can be present, but they won't involve in shielding. So their contribution is 0. They are not contributing any value towards screening constant. Okay. Then the shell is denoted as nth cell. When I select an electron, the shell is denoted as nth cell. Except this electron, the remaining electron is contributing a value towards screening constant, isn't it? So in the second cell, 7 electrons present, they are involving in shielding. So they are responsible for the shielding effect. So all the 7 electrons in the nth cell, that means here second cell, all the 7 electrons will contribute a value towards screening constant. What value? 0.35. Okay. We take sodium. If I select this electron, nth cell is nothing but a second cell. Except the electron selected, remaining 7 electrons will contribute 0.35 as a value towards screening constant. Then n minus 1 cell. Here we take second cell. N value is 2. 2 minus 1 means first cell. Okay. So this is nth cell. Immediate inner shell is called what? N minus 1 cell. This is nth cell. This is n minus 1 cell. The electron present in the n minus 1 cell is involving in shielding. These 2 electrons will disturb the attraction between the nucleus and this electron. So shielding effect is caused by these 2 electrons. They are contributing 0.85 as the value towards screening constant. Okay. You are selecting an electron. The shell is called the nth cell. Remaining electrons in the nth cell will contribute 0.35. The immediate next inner cell is called the n minus 1 cell. Electrons in n minus 1 cell is contributing 0.85. The next inner cells, it may be n minus 2, n minus 3, n minus 4, whatever it may be. All the inner cell electrons will contribute screening constant value 1. So you have to remind it. Okay. So in Slater's rule, first step we write the electronic configuration and we made the orbitals as groups. Second step we identify the electron. Beyond that electron, shielding effect is not possible, so contribution 0. So beyond this electron, other electrons will not involve in shielding, their contribution 0. So this electron is in the second cell, can be considered as a nth cell. Remaining electrons in the nth cell will contribute 0.35 as a value towards screening constant. Immediate next inner cell is called the n minus 1 cell is contributing 0.85 as a value towards screening constant. All other inner cells, n minus 3 cell, n minus 4 cell and so on. All the inner cells, electrons in the inner cells will contribute 1 as a value towards screening constant. This is applicable for selecting S electron and P electron only. You remind it. So these values 0.35, 0.85 and 1. These are all the values applicable for electron which is present in the S and P orbital. Here I am selecting what electron? P electron, isn't it? 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s1 for sodium. I am selecting electron in the P orbital. For that, this is the value. So when we select an S electron or P electron, this value is correct. And one more thing, if nth cell is the first cell, if the nth cell is the first cell, contribution by the electron is 0.30. This is also an important one. Okay, so for sodium I have selected an electron in the second cell, so n value 2, you leave it. When you consider helium, you consider helium with atomic number 2, 2 electrons present in the first cell. I am selecting this electron, configuration 1s2. I am selecting this electron. So attraction between the nucleus and this electron will be disturbed by this electron, isn't it? So here nth cell is nothing but first cell. For helium I am selecting this electron. Nth cell is nothing but first cell. One more electron present in the first cell is involving in shielding, and its contribution is not 0.35, its contribution is 0.30. Okay, so remind carefully, when we select S electron and P electron, the remaining electrons present in the nth cell is contributing 0.35. If the nth cell is one cell, that means if the orbital is 1s orbital, contribution is not 0.35, contribution is 0.30. Immediate next inner cell electron will contribute 0.85 towards the screening constant. All other inner electrons will contribute 1 towards screening constant. Okay, next one. When we select D electron or F electron, okay, when we select D electron or F electron, the remaining electrons present in the nth cell will contribute the same 0.35 value towards the screening constant. Now we are not selecting S and P electron, we are selecting D electron and F electron for screening constant value calculation. Remaining electrons in the nth cell is contributing 0.35. Then all the inner shell electrons will contribute value 1. So here we will not use any values like 0.85. Okay, so all the inner electrons will contribute 1 as a value towards screening constant. So you have to remind this for screening constant calculation. So we are going to find a screening constant with the help of Slater's rule. First we take hydrogen with atomic number 1, electronic configuration 1s1. So we have an electron in the first cell. Okay. So formula for effective nuclear charges. Effective nuclear charge is equal to atomic number minus screening constant. So for hydrogen, atomic number value 1. What about the screening constant? Hydrogen has just only one electron, no other electrons for shielding. So screening constant value is 0. For hydrogen, effective nuclear charge 1. Actual charge experienced by the valence electron is 1. Next, helium 1s2 configuration. Okay. So we have written the electronic configuration, we made it as a group, then we select the electron, and beyond this no electron for shielding, and this is called nth cell. Okay, so for helium only one cell is present, it is nothing but nth cell. So effective nuclear charge is equal to atomic number 2, screening constant S value. One electron is present in the nth cell for screening or shielding. So we have only one electron in the nth cell, except the selected electron, remaining only one electron is present, and this electron will contribute 0.30. As I told, for first cell, contribution by the electron in the nth cell is 0.30. So 2 minus 0.30, 1.70. Effective nuclear charge for helium is 1.70. Then lithium with atomic number 3. First step, electronic configuration 1s2, 2s1. We made it as a group. We have to select the electron. 2 electrons present in the first cell. One more electron is in the second cell. So we select this electron. What is the n value? 2. The selected electron is in the second cell, n value 2. So effective nuclear charge is equal to atomic number 3 minus screening constant value. And in the nth cell, we don't have other electrons, we leave it. But we have n minus 1 cell. That means the first cell. N minus 1 cell is nothing but what? First cell. So we have 2 electrons present in the n minus 1 cell. The electron present in the n minus 1 cell will contribute 0.85. Okay. 2 electrons present in the n minus 1 cell, and each electron will contribute 0.85 towards a screening constant. So 3 minus so 1.70. Nuclear charge 3, but there is a shielding effect. It is represented as a screening constant value 1.70. When we subtract screening constant from the nuclear charge, we get the effective nuclear charge. Net charge experienced by the valence electron. It's called the effective nuclear charge. 1.30. Consider sodium with atomic number 11. Electronic configuration 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s1. We made it as a group. 1s, 2s, 2p, one group, 3s another group. 2 electrons in the first cell, 8 electrons present in the second cell. And one more electron is in the third cell. So we select this electron. This is the valence electron. Okay. So effective nuclear charge is equal to atomic number 11 minus screening constant. This is the nth cell, n value 3. Third cell is the nth cell. N minus 1 cell means second cell. All inner cells. Inner cell is first cell. Okay. So in the nth cell, no other electrons present. You take n minus 1 cell, that means second cell, 8 electrons present. 8 electrons present in the n minus 1 cell is contributing 0.85 as a value towards screening constant. Each electron is contributing 0.85. Then we have one more inner shell, n minus 2, that means first cell. So 2 electrons present in the first cell will contribute 1. We know that except the n minus 1, all the remaining inner electrons will contribute 1, because we select what electron? S electron. you have to remind what type of electron is selected. Okay. sp electron means one category, df electron means and another category. Okay, we select s electron. So n minus 2 cell having 2 electrons, each is contributing value 1 towards screening constant. So 11 minus 6.80 plus 2. So 11 minus 8.80. So answer is 2.20. Effective nuclear charge for 3s electron is 2.20. Okay, so this is the way of finding screening constant. Okay. We select 3s electron, for that effective nuclear charge is 2.20. So in our book, scandium is given with atomic number 21. We write the electronic configuration 1s2, 2s2 2p6, 3s2 3p6, 3d1 4s2. So 21 electrons placed in this order. Okay. So here we are not following the correct order of electronic configuration. Actually 4s orbital will be filled, then d orbital will be filled by the electrons. To find the screening constant, we take shell wise, first cell, second cell, third cell, fourth cell, like that we have written. So electronic configuration is written. Next we have to group it. 1s, 2s 2p one group, 3s 3p one group, 3d separate group, 4s one group. Now we are going to find the screening constant for 4s electron as well as a 3d electron. So two calculations are going to be done. Okay. So selected electron is 4s. We select an electron in the 4s orbital. Okay. First cell has 2 electrons, second cell has 8 electrons, then third cell totally 9 electrons, 2 electron in s orbital, 6 electron in p orbital, 1 electron in d orbital. Then 2 electrons present in the outermost, or 2 electrons present in the 4s orbital. So I am selecting this electron. Okay. So there is an attraction between the nucleus and this electron in 4s orbital. Effective nuclear charge is equal to atomic number 21 minus screening constant. So I have to find the screening constant for this electron. 21 minus, this is called nth cell. Okay, n value is 4. Remaining electron in the nth cell is 1. I am selecting s electron. Okay, I am selecting s electron. In the nth cell, fourth cell, I have one more electron and it is contributing 0.35 towards the screening constant. According to Slater's rule, electron in the nth cell will contribute 0.35 plus n minus 1 cell, that means the third cell. Totally how much electrons present? 9 electrons present. Okay. Third cell has totally 9 electrons, 2 plus 6 plus 1, 9 electrons present. Each electron is contributing 0.85 as a value towards screening constant. And we have all other inner electrons, n minus 2, n minus 3 and so on. So fourth cell, n cell, third cell is n minus 1 cell. So first and second cell are inner cells. This is n minus 2, this is n minus 3. How much electrons present here? This is nth cell, this is n minus 1 cell, this is n minus 2, this is n minus 3. So all the inner electrons will contribute what value? 1. How much inner electrons present are? 2 plus 2 plus 6, 10 electrons present. So 10 into 1. Nth cell has one more electron for shielding effect. Its contribution is 0.35. N minus 1 cell, that means third cell has 9 electrons. Each electron is contributing 0.85. All the inner electrons, totally 10 electrons, will contribute value 1. So 21 minus 0.35 plus 7.65 plus 10. So atomic number 21, screening constant 18, so effective nuclear charge 3. So electron present in the 4s orbital will experience the nuclear charge 3. We expect 21 protons present, nuclear charge will be 21, but because of a screening effect, when we omit the screening effect as a screening constant, actual nuclear charge experienced by the electron in 4s orbital is just 3. Okay, I have selected electron in 4s orbital. If I select electron in the 3d orbital, what will be the effective nuclear charge? Effective nuclear charge is equal to atomic number minus screening constant. I am selecting this 3d electron. So this will not contribute in the shielding effect. I omit it. So this is nth cell. Electron is in the 3d orbital, so third cell is the nth cell, n value 3. Okay. Except this electron, how much electrons present in the nth cell? 8. Okay. So when you consider third cell, this is nth cell, third cell, except this 3d electron, we have remaining 8 electrons. Each electron is contributing okay, when you consider the electron in the 3d orbital, nth cell is third cell, but in the first point itself, we said 3s 3p will be placed as a separate group. So this is considered as n minus 1th group. This is only because of selecting d electron. Selecting s electron, p electron will not disturb this finding n minus 1 cell or n minus 2 cell. Okay. But when we select d electron, this 3d is having a separate group. So nth cell is actually this one. Even though these are all in the third cell, it is considered as n minus 1 cell. Okay. So this is the point you have to remind. Okay. This is not the same nth cell. This is in the n minus 1 cell, n minus 2, this is n minus 3. First cell is considered as n minus 3 cell. So 21 minus in the nth cell, we don't have other electrons, right? We have only one electron in the 3d orbital. We don't have other electrons for shielding effect. So 3s3p is made it as a group called n-1 cell. Here 8 electrons present. n-2 cell having 8 electrons, n-3 cell having 2 electrons, totally 18 electrons present. So what is the Slater's rule? When we select d electron or f electron, electrons present in the n-1 cell, n-2 cell, n-3 cell will contribute value 1. Electrons in the nth cell will contribute 0.35. Remaining electrons in the nth cell will contribute 0.35, but all other cells n-1, n-2, n-3 will contribute 1. So since we select 3d as a separate group, we don't have other electrons in the nth cell, we omit 0.35 value. Remaining cells are assumed as inner cells. This is n-1 cell. Totally in the inner cells we have 18 electrons. So 21 minus 18. The effective nuclear charge of 3d electron is also 3. Okay. So when we select d electron, you have to be very careful, which is nth cell, which is n-1 cell. Selecting s electron or p electron will not be a problem. Okay. So when we select this s electron, we considered all the 3 as n-1 cell, isn't it? So in the previous calculation, when we select 4s electron, 3s, 3p, 3d, all will be considered as n-1 cell. But when we select d electron, you have to be very careful. So in today's class, we have completed metallic radius, variation of atomic radius in periods and groups, effective nuclear charge, screening constant calculated by Slater's rule. Thank you.